Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Right, today I want to talk about my next plan, my next project, which is to run a 2:20 marathon. Now, since I ran the 2:24 marathon in London, that's been my goal, and then I got injured and it kind of set me back a bit. But now I'm back on course. I've been running for about a month now since I've come back from injury. I'm feeling gradually better all the time. And I think I can set myself that 2:20 goal now and start planning for it. And I want to take you guys on a journey with me in my training, my preparation, everything I'm doing to be able to run that 2:20 marathon. If you don't know me, my name is Patrick Martin, and in April this year I ran the London Marathon in 2 hours 24 minutes and 31 seconds. I'm 42 years old and I'd only been running for 3.5 years when I ran that time. So now I'm looking to take it up a level to 2:20. It's a big jump, it's a really big jump from 2:24 to 2:20. I'm very, very aware of that, and it's a big challenge for me. In my mind, it's a big challenge. In my first marathon, 6 months before I ran London, I did that in 2:28. So I improved by 4 minutes in my second marathon, but as you get quicker, it gradually gets more difficult, and to go from 2:24 to 2:20 is tough. You might say, well, why don't I go for sub 2:20? And yeah, I'd be happy with 2:19.59, but I just don't think I'm in 2:19 or anything like that shape yet. And 2:20 doesn't feel comfortable. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, 2:20 feels comfortable. It does not feel comfortable. 2:20 still feels like a really big jump, but I've got to set high targets, go for that. So yeah, this is a long plan. I'm looking at Seville or London next year. Seville's in February, London's in April next year. But it has to be long. This is a big challenge. I don't take it lightly. And because I've just come back from injury, I've lost fitness. I've definitely lost a bit of fitness. I can feel it when I'm going out for runs. So I need to start building that fitness up again to get myself to the level I was at previously, and then to push on even further than that. And I can't say to you, oh yeah, I'm going to be fit to run a marathon in November or even December. I think it's going to take a bit longer than that for me to get up to a high level again. So in this series of videos, I'm going to call it the 2:20 project, I'm going to show you what I'm planning to do to get to 2:20, to run a 2:20 marathon. I'm going to show you my training, my nutrition, my recovery, any cross training I do, any strength training I do. That's really important. I'm going to add that. I've already been on a couple of sessions as I started this new project, and just like a bit of a basis and a background for all this. Remember, I'm not an athlete. I didn't do any kind of running or endurance training or any kind of sport really before I was in my late 30s. I've got no athletic background, no history of running. Bear that in mind when I'm doing this. This really is something that's a bit different, and I'm trying to take my training to another level now to get to that 2:20. So I've got 3 areas that I need to work on. I think 3 areas that I need to improve to get to that 2:20 level from the 2:24. The first one is working on speed and doing more interval sessions. Now, when I ran the 2:24, I didn't do much speed work. Really, I didn't. It was a handful of speed sessions, handful of interval training sessions, which to people who haven't heard my story before might seem crazy, but that's just the way I went. I built up a big aerobic base of fitness, and I didn't run too many speed sessions. There's a balance there between getting lots of work in but also not getting injured, and for me, I think before I found that the right balance where I didn't push my body too hard, but I was able to stay consistent, because I think consistency is so important. A consistent amount of mileage over time is, as I've said in many previous videos, if you've seen them, is the most important thing. So I need to get that balance right between being able to be consistent and pushing it sometimes, and getting those speed sessions in and getting those hard interval sessions in, because I think I was able to stay consistent before because I wasn't risking injury by pushing myself too hard, so I need to keep that level just about right. And that's where some of these sessions come in, like sessions I like to do, well I don't even know if I call them sessions, but something I like to do a lot is steady pace running, where I run at a steady pace which is slightly below marathon pace, above an easy pace, and that allows me to run fast but not too fast. And then what I do then is I throw in like a minute of faster speed into those sessions, so a minute fast and then back to steady pace. So I'm out doing a steady pace run this morning, and it's a steady pace run with 1 minute surges added in every now and again. It's going to be about 16k worth of running, and the reason I do it this way is I love the steady pace because it just keeps me in touch with speed, but I'm not overdoing it, and the surges really keep me in touch with the speed, but again not overdoing the overall intensity of the run, so I can do more of these kind of runs and not need so much recovery. That's really important for me in reducing the injury risk and reducing the likelihood of injury and the overall risk of fatigue. So here comes a short surge now, and I'm going uphill, so it's going to be a short one. Let's go. When I start to go uphill a bit more, that's not a minute, but I'm not going any harder than that because I can feel okay getting into harder territory. I'm just going to keep the reactivity in my legs, keep the speed in my legs, and I know that I'm not losing touch with that. If I'm running just one pace all the time, I feel like I'm losing touch with speed, a bit bloody, which I don't think is great. If I want to run fast races, I've got to run fast in training. This is my way of doing that more often without putting so much pressure on my body. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. So the next thing I want to implement is more strength training. That's something I've never done before. I started doing some leg strength training when I was trying to recover from my high hamstring tendonitis that I had, and that really sort of opened my eyes to, okay, wow, my legs can really start to feel strong, and I can't believe that I've never done this before when I've been training to run a marathon. And I really think that it'll help number one, it'll help me reduce the potential of injuries. I think if you've got stronger legs, stronger muscles, stronger tendons, there's less chance of getting injured when you're training, especially when you're running a lot of miles like I'm doing. And I think it'll help me in the latter stages of the races when my legs are just starting to hurt, and having a bit of strength will improve and just push me on to hopefully keep the 2:20 pace for as long as possible. And not just strength training for my legs, but strength training for my upper body too, just to get stronger, and for my core. I haven't done any of that kind of training in my previous marathon training effort, so it's going to I hope it's going to make a difference. This is something I'm going to have to add in. It's an experiment. It's an experiment on me, basically. What difference is all this going to make? And number 3 is nutrition. Now, a lot of you will know who've seen my previous videos, I ran the London Marathon without any food during that day. The last food I had was 6 p.m. the night before the London Marathon. I didn't have any breakfast. I didn't use any gels in the race. I didn't even have any water in the race. So I'm going to look at potentially changing that. Now, look, it's worked quite well for me so far because I trained fasted, so then therefore I race fasted. But I'm going to try to potentially add some gels in to long runs. I'll start the long run fasted initially, and then I'll add gels as the race goes on, maybe 1 or 2, just to see how it goes, see how it sits, because the way I feel like it can only help me towards the end of the race. Like if I've got more carbs available to me at the end of the race, once I've got to that depleted carb state, then it's got to give me a boost, right? So the only way to get to a good level is to actually train in that way. So train using those gels. My body hasn't been used to that in the past, so hopefully I can get my body used to using the gels, and that's something else that I'm going to add in to get me to that 2 hours 20. So things that have worked for me in the past is doing lots of mileage and keeping consistent. You know, I was running 100 mile weeks consistently in the lead up to London. Lots of steady pace mileage, easy pace mileage as well. I was running twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and a long run on a Sunday, and occasionally some speed sessions and interval sessions, but really not many, which is unusual. And just building up that big aerobic base, and that worked well for me. You know, building up that big aerobic base, I felt like I could, in the marathon, I felt like I could carry on forever, to be honest. It was only my body really that started letting me down at the end. So all that's great, all that's helped me. Lots of mileage again, keeping that aerobic pace high. When I've been injured, I've lost a bit of that fitness, I think, so I'm building that back up, getting stronger, getting fitter, and hopefully I can get myself to that 220 level. There's going to be lots of videos where I share my different types of training, what I'm doing week by week, to get better, to get faster, to get fitter, to get stronger. We'll see. It's an experiment. It's an experiment on one person. I feel like all my running's been like that in the past. I've kind of experimented on myself, and I've got to a decent level. So stay tuned. There's going to be lots of more videos, and on Instagram as well. I'm sharing my journey too, shorter snippets, bits of what I'm doing. So follow me over there. Follow me on Strava to see what I'm doing every day as well, and please subscribe here as well. That really helps the channel if you subscribe. Appreciate you watching. Stay tuned, and thanks so much.